Have you ever learned a jazz lick, practiced it for a week or more, but then a month later, it's totally gone? It's like it vanished from your brain. Now, this is something I hear all too often from guys trying to learn how to play jazz, especially as they age. And the problem here is something I don't see discussed on YouTube. And there's really two things going on that we need to discuss to fix this problem forever. Now, most players collect vocabulary instead of connect vocabulary. And this makes a huge difference in how we actually learn, because you don't want to be storing these licks like isolated files inside your brain. That's not how this works. Music is a language, and we need to learn it like a language where the words connect to other words and phrases. And it's more like a mosaic. It's like a patchwork of the phrases and things you know how to play in a certain context. And when we have a new phrase we want to add in, we don't want it to be isolated from that existing mosaic. We need to figure out, how do I actually attach this new phrase into my existing mosaic? You could also think about it like a web. We have a web of possibility that we could play at any moment based on the things that we know, and we need to add to this web and not have it be separate from that. So I'm going to show you how to do this, and it's kind of the most obvious thing, but I don't see people doing it or practicing it. So how do most people practice a phrase when they're trying to get that into their playing? Now, we're going to take this phrase from Joe Pass, which I just pulled up inside Jazz Phrase System, which is just recently released. Right now, we have 39 founder spots left out of 100. We just opened it last week, and already so many of them are going fast. So if you want to check that out, 14-day free trial down below. Now, with this phrase, most people would practice this by just playing it in context over that 2/5 over and over again. And it's going to be this Joe Pass lick. So what do we do to actually get it into our playing? And that's two parts. We want to be able to play this lick and hear it when we're in the moment. And then the second part of that is not forgetting this lick. And they really go hand in hand. So the first most obvious thing is that when we're playing this phrase, in this case, we're trying to play this over a 2-5-1 going to A flat, and we're going to do this over There Will Never Be Another You. Presumably, we're playing something before this lick. And so what we actually need to practice is, how do we get into this phrase? And we need to see, where does this phrase start? What are the ideas I have to lead in there? Now, what I find almost always is that guys don't have ways of actually getting into that lick. So if you don't know how to get to the start of the lick, how do you expect to actually be able to play the lick? We don't want to just jump randomly to it, because then it sounds like we're forcing it. And when you do that kind of forcing, if you're playing well, you're not going to hear the lick naturally, because it would require you to jump into something unnatural. So we need to figure out, how can we possibly get to that lick to start? So I'm going to give you some examples here, different ways we can do that. I find the essential jazz patterns very helpful with generating different possibilities here, but you can also just play over and over again before the phrase that you're actually trying to start, and we lead into that phrase. So let me show you some examples. So in that example, all I'm doing is, I know I have to get to this D flat where it starts, and I just decided to walk up a scale for B flat minor until I get to that D flat, and then that starts me on that phrase. So using that first essential jazz pattern of just moving up the scale. We could also use a different essential jazz pattern, like the pivot arpeggio, and that might sound like this. Let's look at one more example that's probably the easiest way to start leading into any phrase that you want, which is just to use a 2-note enclosure. So if we're going to start on D flat, I'm just going to do a enclosure to get around and target that first note. So E flat, C, and D flat targets that first note, D flat, and from there I continue on with my phrase. Now I have some ways to get into this lick. Let me play it so you know what it sounds like. The 2-note enclosure is great because whether we're starting directly on the D flat or we're starting on C, we can flip the enclosure, do C, E flat, D, D flat, or if we start on E flat, we can do the enclosure I just did. So now we have 3 possible places that we can get into that phrase. Now, getting into the phrase is just the first part of it. We have a few more things that we really need to do to make sure that this actually fully connects into this mosaic of our improv knowledge. And you might have guessed, it's continuing the phrase. But there's a few specific ways that we want to actually practice this. So the first thing we need to do is, after you've done all of these different lead-ins, we lead in and then we figure out ways to lead out of the phrase. A lot of people struggle with this part of knowing where to go afterward. Now, very simply, the first thing to do is just making sure that you can land that phrase. So you want to make sure that you're not kind of flubbing the end of it, because that kills all of the musical quality of what you just played. So make sure you're first just hitting that last end of the phrase properly. Then you might take a rest, you might just have space before leading into the next phrase. But if you want to start being able to sync these phrases into longer phrases, then we need to know, how do we go into our next phrase? So let's look at some ways of doing that. Now, this is where it matters what chord we're going into. Since we're going to do this over another U, we're doing this 2-5 leading into A flat major. And so I want to make sure at the end of that phrase, we end on this C, but it's still E flat 7. So I need to play something that then leads me to A flat major, right? Again, we could just stay here, but let's come up with some ideas, and I'll just use these essential jazz patterns again to get to a good target or resolution for A flat major. And let's start off just kind of the reverse of what we did, leading in with the scale. Let's lead out also with the scale. So in that case, we landed on C, and I'm just walking down the scale until I get to the major 7th for A flat major, which sounds nice. And then even holding that sounds great over D flat 7 with the sharp 11. Now, what you would want to do is practice this over and over again. You can have a backing track. I'm using the Fieldbook app, but you can use any backing track that works for you. And make sure you've set the loop not just to the 2-5 that you're playing, but before and after 1 or 2 measures, right? And give yourself some room for that so you can try different variations. I'm presenting these as, exact examples for you, but really what you need to do is figure out what phrases and what ways do you like to get in and out of the phrases you're learning. That's how you make this vocabulary your own, instead of being a carbon copy of just the licks and phrases you've learned. So let me do that now. I'll take that same 2-5 and I'll just do a little bit more in getting out of this, something I might more naturally play in an improvised setting. So I was trying to get to that C as a target for A flat, the 3rd. And then I'm trying to get to that 7th for the D flat 7. And I have different ways that I've learned over the many years of getting there. The last one I want to show you here for this continuation is another very simple way that I would suggest starting off if you're not sure how to end phrases. And that's, again, just do an enclosure to a target note or a chord tone that's closest for the chord you're going to. And from there, you can come up with other rhythmic ideas that make sense to you or that you like. So let me show you that example. So there I did an enclosure to just the root. I don't usually want to end right on the root, so I did a little pivot down to the 3rd. And then I'm taking that, and I know that the notes G and B natural or C flat work really great over D flat 7. So I just see that and I shift that down. And that just comes from experience in playing this tune a bunch of times and understanding which notes are important to target for these chords. If you guys want to learn from my systematic curriculum, have a bunch of guys supporting you and get great coaching and community as well, then check out Chase the Guitar Academy. If you want to learn more phrases and get access to a great resource and tool for that, check out Jazz Phrase System. We just launched it. I'm getting a lot of great feedback from people saying that this is already helping them speed up their practice routine, improve their ear training. A lot of guys are telling me that they're really loving it for the ear training. So check that out. Very limited time for the remaining founder spots. If you guys dig this lesson, hit subscribe, like, comment. I'll reply to you down below. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you in the next video. you.